Come out with us and play. Love your London. Have a banana. In today's instalment of Love Your London, we have our first proper look at Whitechapel Road, the Royal London Hospital, and of course the Blind Beggar. But first...
Okay, so there's Brick Lane over here. This is Pedley Street. Pedley Street's always a good place to come for urban art and graffiti. We see behind, you'll often see people here with their spray cans. The other reason I wanted to bring you down Pedley Street is because this is where the old Shoreditch station used to be. Now, back in the very late 80s, early 90s, I used to come here as a student to pick up bargains, to pick up dinner sets instead of televisions and all sorts of things that I was telling you about last week. This is where the station used to be, Shoreditch. It's a lovely old station. It used to be on the East London line, and it was down there. Just check out some of this beautiful urban art. It is impressive. Absolutely beautiful. Here we go. Look at this. Perfect.
Yeah. There they are. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the public murals area.
It changes every single time you come here. It completely changes. I mean, it's completely different to how it was when I was last here.
We got guys and gals at work. It's awesome. Nice.
Now, over here, we're just going to go to this underpass. This is another big, huge loss to the community, I think. There used to be something here called the Nomadic Community Gardens, and it was there for a few years. And it was fantastic. It was this little unused plot of land where they had a cafe, they had a reggae bar. You could bring your own drinks, but they also sold drinks at like £1 or £2 a can. It was very reasonable. Unfortunately, it's now closed. It was cool, it was underground. Now they're paying a fortune to security people to pervade this place to make sure that it's not used again.
And it's all getting ready for what?
Luxury
flats.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
And it's not going to be very nice. It's right next to these two really busy railway lines. So I don't know why they didn't leave it as it was and give the kids and the kidults something fun to do. Anyway, so we're just going to have a look down here. Now this is our little zoo. It's closed at the moment because of the pandemic. Look at that, there's a very, very emotive bit of wall art there. I Can't Breathe, about obviously referring to George Floyd and that atrocious bit of
Sounds like you can't breathe either, dude. Have another cigarette.
That's right. Anyway, so over here we've got the zoo. Now we can it's not a zoo, it's actually called the Spitalfields City Farm. Now I have emailed them And I've asked them if maybe we can do some volunteer work, maybe muck out some pigsties or paint some fences or something for Love Your London. They haven't got back to me yet.
Oh, and if you'd like to see us muck out the pigsty in a future Love Your London special, once the farm is open again, please like this video and, if you have not done so already, subscribe to our channel. Otherwise it might happen and you'll miss it.
We have goats, we have rabbits, we have horses and donkeys. Now there's quite a lot of these places around London. You don't have to go to Regent's Park Zoo. There's one in Stepney called Stepney City Farm. There's one in Mudchute in the Isle of Dogs. Most people would never ever see any farm animals, obviously living in such an urban area, if it weren't for places like these.
This is stone.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a huge boulder.
It's a ram.
It's actually nicely done. I quite like that. Is that nice? Probably not as nice as a bucket of oats, but...
Nah. 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 Nah.
They've got them all going.
Yeah. They got some new rabbits, I believe, in as well.
New rabbits. How exciting. I think they sort of miss having the people around.
Of course they do. They really should reopen it.
Glorious citrus tree of some sort here. And they're ripening. Don't know what they are.
They look like grapefruits to me.
They're big enough to be.
Yeah.
Let's get a shot of that.
That's a grapefruit.
That's a big, look at the size of it.
Pomelo.
Look at the size of that. It's huge. What a beaut. Boy, look at that. Yeah, I don't think that's a grapefruit, Tris.
Well, maybe, actually, well, if you
I don't know what that is. If we'll have to check and see. We'll put it in the notes.
In the comments, if you know what that is. I mean, it looks like a grapefruit to me.
Well, I don't know.
Or pomelo.
So, in any case, climate change. You can look forward to seeing more of that kind of thing in London in the next 50 to 70 years.
Okay, so this is the Crown and Leek. This is one of the old dead pubs. It is, however, being used, not luxury flats as you can tell. It is, however, being used for the community, by the community. I believe it's a carpenter's or a joiner's. I'll take a few establishing shots of it.
You want me to get more of that?
Yeah.
It's not exactly the Taj Mahal, is it?
Well. Palm tree.
Wow. Again, wait for that warm weather. They sure are doing well now. It's huge. Nice. Oh, I love it. Well, the sunlight's just getting in there. That's beautiful.
Shoes there. Shoes. He's in Africa.
Yes, right kind of fabrics. Oh, he shot himself.
That's me. No, that's me.
Oh God! All right.
Check it. I hear. This side is the Sands Road, and that side of there is Valence Road. It's a nice little nod there to, obviously, to Julian Assange. So obviously it won't be official, but it's a nice little nod, I think. Right, so we are outside the temporary exit for Whitechapel Station. It's actually closed today. I think it will open again on Tuesday. Now the old exit of Whitechapel Station that many of you will be familiar with is going to be reused again, but over the last few years, with all developments with the Crossrail, or Elizabeth Line as it's officially known, there's been a lot of people have had to use this, unfortunately quite inaccessible entrance and exit. And Whitechapel residents have been extremely patient dealing with this horrible nightmare. Now this station has a lot of history. So there's been a station here since 1876 when it opened for the East London Railway, which is now part of the overground network. It's also served by the District Line, and as I said, later this year it will be served by the Elizabeth Line, aka Crossrail. Now the overground part is open 24 hours on a weekend. It is actually weekend now and it's not open, but on Friday nights and Saturday nights it's normally open 24 hours. There's no step-free access at the moment, so it's useless for wheelchair users. However, the Crossrail part, when it opens later this year, is going to be completely step-free, and the overground part will be step-free from 2021.
Yeah, since recording this video, the date for the Crossrail opening has been put back to 2022 and will cost over £1 billion more than what they said it would a couple of years ago, so I wouldn't hold my breath.
I don't think the District and Hammersmith and City Lines part will be step-free at all, at least not just yet. At the moment there's no toilet. However, as I said, when the new station opens there will be toilets and they will be disabled as well. Now I remember that the old East London line used to use old Metropolitan line railway stock in the old days, which is really odd because the two lines aren't connected at all, so it seems, but what in fact there is, and you can see this from or used to be able to see it from the platform, there used to be a connection between the old Metropolitan, Hammersmith and City lines and the East London line, and there was a curve going underneath the road, and it's called St Mary's Curve. The reason why it's called St Mary's Curve is there used to be a station called St Mary's just over there. They got rid of that in the 30s. It was heavily bombed, and also there was no need for it because they'd already built Aldgate East and there just wasn't any need for two stations so close together. So St Mary's is no longer there. It's one of the disappeared stations, but the curve which goes underneath and goes south, that is still there. It was used for quite a long time for, not for passengers, but for moving train rolling stock from one line to the other. Now it's not used at all. I don't think it's even lit up anymore. It used to be lit up. I think they've even removed the points, if I'm not mistaken. It's really quite bad that such a major transport hub like Whitechapel Station has not had a toilet until next year, because there are no public toilets around here. This used to be a public toilet. It then became a curry house, it was actually quite a good little curry house. It's very small, but it was alright. I used to come in here. They used to do really nice samosas and stuff. Anyway, let's now have a little walk down here. Something to show you. That pub here. This used to be, I think, used to be called the Black Bull. Okay, so we are at the corner of Court Street, which is where we were just now, where the Whitechapel temporary station is, and Whitechapel Road. And the reason I brought you here is, if you look down, so in September 2017, a fatberg weighing 130 tonnes, made of fat, oil, wet wipes and nappies, was discovered right here. Now it weighed the same as 11 double-decker buses and was as long as 2 Wembley football pitches. I don't know why these things are always measured in buses and football pitches.
Or the country of Wales.
Or the country of Wales. Yeah. So it took 13 weeks to remove this fatberg, and part of it was displayed in the Museum of London. Now, in fact, if you look back, you'll see that we were in the Museum of London not that long ago to see an exhibition of The Clash. So if you like The Clash, there is going to be a link at the end of this video so that you can go back and see it. But yeah. So in the Museum of London, this was on display. It inspired the imagination of many, many people. This fatberg, there's now a film about it, and there's a musical about it as well.
Musical?
Yep, it's called Undermined, the Fatberg musical, and you will be able to catch it on the 26th of January 2021. So if you go to lwtheatres.co.uk, it's going to be performed at the Other Palace, and it's right next to, it's called the Other Palace because it's right next to Buckingham Palace. So go to Buckingham Palace, look for the Other Palace, which is the theatre, and do check out the musical. I have no idea if it's any good because it is a one-off premiere, but it sounds good, doesn't it? I mean, what could go wrong? A musical about a fatberg. So, and obviously the heroes who rescued London, trying to remove it.
Oh, and just a quick reminder that coming up at the end of this video, Sharon sketches the Blind Beggar pub, and if you're quick, you'll be able to bid on it.
Here we have the Royal London Hospital. Now, people will often just refer to it as the London Hospital. Now, this is no longer the hospital. This is going to be the new town hall for the area. So at least it's going to still be in public use. The new hospital, as you can see, is just right behind. You can see that beautiful blue cube. Okay, so we're just crossing the road to have a better look at the old hospital facade. But I just wanted to show you this really interesting map here. This is a map of Jewish East London, done in 1899. Thousands upon thousands of East European Jews escaped from persecution, and they fled to this area. The Jewish people are one of the many communities that this area has brought protection and harbour to. Nowadays, obviously, very much the Bengali population, many of whom came here during partition. So the darker areas on the map represent the higher concentration of Jewish people, and the red areas show that there was fewer than 5% of Jewish people. So there you see the new hospital, floors 14, 15, recently opened for the first time to deal with the COVID patients. And over here we have the old, and will be reused again, the old front of Whitechapel station. I love this place. There used to be a fantastic little pub here called the Grave Maurice. I used to come in years ago, back in the late 80s, early 90s. Gone now. I'm sure you've seen the outstanding movie called The Elephant Man by David Lynch. If you hadn't seen it, do see it. It's one of my favourites, and it's absolutely fantastic with Sir Anthony Hopkins and John Hurt, and it is brilliant. Dr. Frederick Treves was a doctor in here, and the Elephant Man, John Merrick, was actually, if you just see over there, you have a sari shop just over there called UKAY. Okay, so there used to be a sideshow in there run by a guy called Trey Norman. It was called a penny gaff, and the Elephant Man was, or John Merrick rather, to give him his more respectful real name, he was in there on a big huge bed at the back, and people would pay a penny, I guess, to go and see him. Now a colleague of Dr. Frederick Treves went and saw it and crossed the road and went back to Dr. Treves and said, "You really got to see this gentleman, he's fascinating." No one had seen, in fact no one really knows exactly what it was that what he suffered from. It's still quite unknown. Now John Merrick's skeleton is in fact still in the hospital. It's not on public display. I think he's had enough of public display over the years. He died actually in hospital. He was originally in an attic on the old room right up there, but eventually he was moved to a two-room basement with a garden at the bottom of the hospital. He died in the hospital in his flat in 1890, and there have been at least, apart from the film, there have been at least 2 different musicals about him. Okay, so this picture you're looking at the moment is of the Albion Brewery, built in 1808. Now there's a lot more left of this brewery compared to the one that we saw earlier in an earlier episode next door to the Pride of Spitalfields. This brewery, well, this is what's left of it, and it actually closed in 1979, but as you can see there's still quite a bit left of the place. It's called Man, Cross and Pauline Limited. The Man part of the name still lived on as Watney Man for quite a few years in the 60s and early 70s. That was then taken over by the Truman Brewery on Brick Lane. We went to the Truman Brewery area, is where that football shirt place was that we saw last week, as well as the Broccoli Man is all part of the Broccoli Artist, all part of that whole complex. Okay, so over here we have the Whitechapel Mission. Now you may have, especially if you're on the overground, you may often hear a notice coming out over the public address system saying please do not give your money to beggars, etc. Give your money instead to the Whitechapel Mission. So this is the infamous Blind Beggar. Now it's not actually that old, it's 1894. It is infamous because this is where famously Ronnie Kray murdered George Cornell, and for a while there were bullet holes visible in the ceiling. That's not from where George Cornell was shot, that's actually where Ian Barry, one of Krays' associates, fired some warning shots to warn the waitress to find shelter. Ronnie shot Cornell right in the forehead, and that lodged into a pillar. Now nobody testified, so Ronnie was released from custody by the police. And there's a very nice story that one of Barry's warning bullets ricocheted off the ceiling and into the jukebox, and the record "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore" by the Walker Brothers was playing, and it stuck on the word anymore.
The sun ain't gonna shine anymore, 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 anymore.
I don't know if that's true. There is so much legend about them, and even the latest film about the Krays is called Legend. Cornell was definitely shot in there, there's no legend about that. And that happened on the 9th of May 1966. Now 1966, a very relevant year of course for the UK, for England, because that is the year that England won the World Cup. And funnily enough, Bobby Moore, one of the heroes of the World Cup, ended up running that pub. You might be wondering, why is this called the Blind Beggar? Who was the Blind Beggar? Well, actually, this is a very interesting story. It is named after Henry de Montfort. Now, Henry de Montfort was wounded in the Battle of Evesham in 1265, in which he lost his sight, as well as his father, Simon de Montfort, the 6th Earl of Leicester. De Montfort University in Leicester is actually named after him. That's the father, not the poor blinded son. So, he ended up, just like lots of the people who end up in the Whitechapel Mission, he ended up, like many ex-army today, begging on the streets, supposedly right here on these crossroads, and hence it's called the Blind Beggar. So we have really no idea how he came to fall through the gaps. It's anyone's guess. Simon, his dad, was the husband of King John's daughter Eleanor. So in fact that would have made King John Henry's grandfather. And in fact Henry himself was named after King Henry III, his uncle. His dad Simon was even de facto ruler of Britain for a short while, at least between the battles of Lewes and Evesham. So I don't know how he ended up begging on the streets of Whitechapel at this crossroads. No one to look after him. At least these days, ex-army and other people can go to the Whitechapel Mission for a hot meal, but back then that didn't exist. He stayed here, but he had a pub named after him, so that's better than nothing, I guess. Now, you remember the episode that we did in Gunnersbury Park, where Sharon put her amazing drawing and sketching skills to use in order to raise a little bit of money for the channel. On our eBay page, the links are on our website, www.loveyourlondon.com, and also will be down below above the comments below this video. But this time Sharon is drawing the Blind Beggar, and she's starting. It's going to be a quick sketch. Let's see how she gets on.
Out of the way!
The constant flow of double-decker buses blocking Sharon's view, together with an intoxicated passerby who kept admiring her handiwork while breathing all over her shoulder and certainly not socially distancing himself, meant that it was time for a drink. Now, if only there was a pub close by.
Sorry. Hi. So the beer garden has been voted the best pub for smokers, apparently, so let's check it out. I've been here many times. Here we go. Okay, so Sharon is finishing off her drawing in the Blind Beggar itself. How authentic is that? Let's just check. How you doing?
Thomas Arne, most famous for composing Rule Britannia, also wrote a ballad opera called The Blind Beggar of Bethnal Green in 1741, which was performed at the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane. As far as we can tell, no recording exists of it. Had we found one, you'd be listening to it now, of course, instead of my voice.
So you finished?
Yes, I am.
Let's have a quick look at it.
Yeah, it's quick and well, it wasn't as quick as the last one, but there you go. That's it, nice and fast. That's kind of. There you go. That's it. Go for it.
So there you have it. She just finished. It took her quite a lot longer, this one. So hopefully you will be nice and generous and bid for it. As you can see, it was filmed here in the Blind Beggar. Can't get more authentic than that, can you?
In the next instalment of Love Your London, we see what the inside of the Blind Beggar looks like, and hear from one of the locals. We see inside a model business, and our channel decides to formally recognise the Republic of Somaliland.
Okay.
Nobody recognize us.
No.
Why?
Well, I recognise you.
You recognize us.
I recognise you.
Till next time.
From Acton Town to Wimbledon, from Brixton to Beyond, love your London, have a banana.